Yankee White Show. I'm your host, Yankee White. This is the second episode, and today we're going to be talking about the sun. Alright? The sun in all its majestic glory, its beautiful bounty, and what have you. Ancient civilizations used the sun for everything from calendars to medical treatment, illumination, sanitization, all kinds of Asians. Not Asians. Those are people. Our uses include light, heat, and losing that high fly ball over center field. It's a compass. You can check it out right here. Go away. Go away. So, check out 10 Minute Survival after my video. One of the great uses for the sun, obviously, is its light source. However, it's limited. It's gonna go away eventually. So you're out wandering around, you've got your camp set up, you've got a fire going. What's next? Well, maybe you want to make some improvements to the campsite, to your shelter for the night, and you don't know how much travel time you have. Well, using these little guys and the sun, you can calculate just how much time you've got left before you better get your ass back to camp. The real quick and dirty of it is, I'm going to take my hand just like this. I'm going to rest the sun just on top of these fingers, and I'm going to start counting down to the horizon. As soon as I get to the horizon, I stop counting. So if I'm looking directly into the sun, make sure you stare directly into the sun for as long as you can. 4 fingers, another 4, and then 2. So each finger is about 15 minutes. So I'm looking at about 2.5 hours. Now, you want to adjust that based on whether or not you are by yourself. What's your safety level like? Are there known predators in the area? Have you seen coyote tracks? Do you have an injured person at camp? If that's the case, you might want to go a little more conservative, maybe call it 10 minutes per. Either way, it's a rough idea of just how much sunlight you've got left to work with. 1 finger, 15 minutes. Second use for the sun, sanitization of water. Remember that Ziploc bag from the first video? You better, because it was just a week ago. You're going to take the Ziploc bag. You're going to take your water. Probably got a little bit of turbidity into it. You got some moss, maybe some dirt hanging around on top. Screen that off the best you can. Get as much of the visible contaminants out. You're going to fill the Ziploc bag. You're going to seal the Ziploc bag. You're going to lay the Ziploc bag nice and flat. The key here is to keep it shallow and wide. You want as much surface area as you can. You're going to lay that flat on a rock or whatever gives you the best visibility to the sun, whatever presents the most surface area to the sun. Now, the sun's going to do all the work here. You just got to be patient. A couple hours in the sun and the UV rays from the shortwave radiation are going to kill any microorganisms that might be hanging around in that water. It's not foolproof. It's not without its drawbacks. Number 1, water's going to be warm. Number 2, it's going to take some time. Number 3, it doesn't really work for massive volumes of water. But in a pinch, you can use the sun. Best way to use this is to get your Ziploc bag going, or if you have rolls of plastic, get a good quantity of it at a time and have it sanitizing while you're working on something else. Maybe you're working on shelter or treating that wolf bite that you got the night before because you didn't know how to calculate how much sunlight you had left. Either way, you want sanitized water, good clean water, so you don't have to drink your own piss. Staying with our Ziploc bag, okay? If you have your container, which you should have your container, we could use something like, let's say this guy, this little guy right here. This is a tackle box, if you will. This is a kind of like a travel tackle box. I got some hooks in there, got a little bit of bait, but it is watertight. Good to have in the go bag. Dump out all this crap willy-nilly. Make sure the hooks are all barbed up somewhere where you can't see it, and maybe you walk around barefoot. It's the best place to put all this stuff. What I'm going to do is take this empty box. It's not empty. for visualization purposes, let's all play pretend. Just like we're running through the woods with an AR-15, we're gonna play pretend. We're gonna put the box in the Ziploc bag. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go out and get some greenery, some roughage. I've got some wood shavings here. These are gonna represent grass, okay? Some leaves, foliage, whatever. You just want it to be green. Make sure it's green. It has to still be alive for this to work, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna pack this into the bag, okay? So we've got our bag packed with some greenery. All right, next thing we're gonna do, we got our bag packed with the greenery. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna take something hard, maybe like this piece of wood, could be a rock. You're gonna sit it right on top of the bag. What this is gonna do is the water is going to accumulate condensation on top of the inside of the bag. The rock or wood is going to push down into the container that you have inside the Ziploc bag. So as moisture collects and runs down because of gravity, it'll drip into your little container box. Again, this is not without its issues. If you're not paying attention and you don't do things the right way, you're gonna have a bad time. Also, be very careful with your bag. Typically, you're only gonna have one, maybe a couple. You don't wanna go tearing it up because you had to get the roughest rock you could find. So, that's water in a bag. One of my favorites, and you can ask my wife this, laundry by the sun. Getting that lazy fucking sun to do your laundry. And one of the best ways you can do that is by letting, again, those UV rays that we just talked about, kill the bacteria that causes funk. So, nothing smellier in this fucking house than this hat right here, okay? I work in it, I sweat in it, I run around in it. It's disgusting. It stinks to high heaven. So one of the things I can do is, if we're in the house, stick it in the freezer overnight, kills all the stink. If freezer's not available, next best thing is to go the other way with it. The sun. Take this bad boy, sit it in the sun. Direct sunlight for a few hours. Again, the UV rays are gonna kill the bacteria that causes that god-awful pungent smell that comes out from underneath your hat. You can also use this for your socks. I know my socks get kind of funky. You go on a hike, you're going on a trail hump, and the next thing you know, you're setting up in camp for some rack time, and you got that funk coming out of your feet. Take the socks off, beat the hell out of them against a rock or with a rock. Get as much dirt and debris and dust and skin flake as you can off. Lay it on a nice rock or tie it to your straps for your bag. Whatever you gotta do. Let the sun cook the stink. Gets rid of it. The sun is not just good for being a butler, doing your laundry. Sometimes you gotta do basic shit like cook your food. Space blanket. Remember the space blanket we were talking about? This thing is gonna work great for making you a nice solar oven. All you gotta do is get a couple sticks, make your framework, use some of that cordage we had, wrap your space blanket around it, shiny side out, reflecting the shiny side in. You're gonna make the space blanket magnify the sun's rays and push it inside, cooking whatever you have in the solar oven. It's gonna do a couple things. Number one, it's gonna take the priority off of making a fire if you haven't already gotten one going. Number two, it'll cut down on the resources that you're using to cook your food. The sun's always gonna be there. Till it's not. Number three, heating your shelter. Your shelter is cold out. You don't know what to do with the shelter. It's too damn cold. Again, the solar blanket. Sometimes it doesn't just work out like the survival videos would have you believe, that you're not always going to get this picturesque, beautiful spot between two trees with a fish that wants to just hop right down out of the creek into your frying pan. Sometimes you actually have to improvise a little bit for shelter. And a lot of times you're going to give something up. If you unfortunately have to give up light or direct heating from the sun because of your location, space blanket. Lay this guy flat, reflective side up, tilting towards your shelter, and it will reflect and redirect those UV rays to kill the bacteria, and the shortwave radiation, which is the heat from the sun. Long wave radiation is what's reflecting off of the Earth's surface. It's gonna heat, just not nearly as well. So you want to grab as much of that energy as you can. Take the shortwave, turn it inside. Using the sun as a multi-tool in nature, not a bad way to go. You're gonna get a lot of stuff done. It's less shit you gotta carry, and it's less resources that you have to use. Be mindful, however, if you're relying on the sun for everything, and those clouds come by, that's gonna fuck your day up. So you gotta make sure that you have some redundancies in place for things like fire, warmth, sanitization. Sometimes it's as simple as carrying a little bit of bleach, or maybe some iodine. You know, you want to have some redundancies. 2 is 1, 1 is none. So make sure you've got some contingency plans in mind if you decide to go with a sparse pack and make the sun do all your bidding. There's nothing wrong with that. The more you know, the less you need. However, time's gonna come when you're trying to figure out which way's west, and it's noon, it's overcast, and you're in the mountains. Good luck with that one. So the sun, it's a great option to have. Sometimes it takes itself away. You gotta be able to work around that. Nothing wrong with adapting. Remember, you gotta improvise, adapt, and overcome. Every emergency situation has a way out, and it's up to you to find that way. When you're gonna be on your own, whether you're hiking, you're hunting, you're camping, you're overthrowing the government, or it is the fan. So that's this week's video. Tune in next week. We're gonna be talking about AR-15 builds. I'm totally kidding. We're not talking about AR-15s. They're done to death. There's a million videos. There's probably a video right below in the suggested for videos. AR-15s are done to death. You either know what you want or you don't. If you know what you want, you got it. And if you don't, then you're gonna buy the Smith & Wesson that's sitting behind the counter for $600. Plain and simple. Next week we will be talking about improving your position. What happens when you break your leg out on the trail? So tune in next Monday. Oh yeah, and remember, like and subscribe. If you don't, they're gonna kill my dog. So this is the Yankee White Show. Yankee White, out.